screen and everything.
Great. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Maris Van Vlack. Um, I'm a recent graduate from the Rhode Island School of Design, and I'm going to be presenting my thesis collection, which includes 3 large-scale hand-woven tapestries, which also combine knitting, painting, and embroidery techniques to create these collaged works, which explore themes of destruction, loss, and generational memory. The imagery from these pieces comes from the set of archived family photographs from the places that my grandmother lived in Europe before she and her family came to the Americas. She, along with her parents and siblings, were forced to leave their home in Poland during World War II. So the architecture that appeared in these photographs that they took was destroyed after they left. And I'm interested in exploring those structures through my work because they exist now only in imagination and memory. This tapestry, which is called Vestige, combines different architectural elements from those photographs as a way to explore my family's history and the spaces that exist between the past and the present. The imagery that appears in this work is linked to a story about a fire destroying familiar spaces and leaving them unable to be returned to. So I use atmospheric perspective and shifting constructions and techniques in this work to give the work the sense that there's a very far distant inaccessible space. I used hand weaving to create these pieces in panels because I find the weaving process is slow and sedimentary and builds up layers of surface, but thread by thread, where each pick of the weaving represents the precise moment in time in which it was woven. And in this detail, you can see that I have also incorporated knitting into the hand weaving as well. This other work is called Facade, and it uses photographs of unidentified family members in combination with a crumbling architectural form from a photograph a relative took. And that photograph was labeled as a Torah falsa, or a false tower, which was a structure built in a style to look like a much older ruin than it actually was. So I've combined that image of that building with these stone busts of family portraits to question memory and how memory can reflect what was in the past, but also what is in the imagination. This photograph depicts the home my grandmother grew up in, which was bombed during World War II. And based on this photograph, I wove this work, which I was intrigued by the form of that building because it was once so familiar and comforting, but now represents war and violence. The construction methods I use in these works also connect to concepts of the changing landscape. In this one, I combined tapestry with a double weave block structure to represent bricks or stone, but also to represent topographical views of land, tying the work back to the geological nature of journeying away from a lost space. I've also developed some of my own techniques which relate to themes of time and memory. This technique I've developed is called surface knitting, where a thin transparent layer of knitted fabric is created along with the weaving while it's being woven. I use this technique as a way to use fibers to draw on the surface of weaving, creating meandering lines which travel over the fabric. Having this layer adds to the feeling of the work being an object that's decaying with time, that's being taken over and buried under layers of history. I've also developed a technique of grafting panels of industrial knitting or jacquard weaving into an open area left in the hand-woven fabric. I attach these pieces in a way that allows the image to seamlessly flow across different surfaces. The high level of detail in the industrially constructed fabric provides a moment of clarity in the image, which contrasts the softer, obscured edges of the forms in the tapestry. And I relate this phenomena to memory and how, when one is trying to recreate something from the past, it can seem faint or intangible, but is brought to life by small moments of focus and clarity. All of this weaving, knitting, and embroidery together has allowed me to represent these surreal spaces from my family's past, showing layering and building up of surfaces that trap memories and histories in the sedimentary process. Thank you very much for having me.